All right, we're back. I'm Chris Ross.
This is Princess Leia, and I'm Justin Drabness.
That is Princess Leia. So we've been gone for a little while because somebody, not me, got married. So got married, lockdown, honeymoon, going across the country.
Yep, that was a big thing.
So somebody got married, and that's why we haven't been on for the last couple of weeks. Apologize to our fans. But we're back, and we're going to talk about X-Men Apocalypse, and we're doing a spoiler review. So if you haven't seen it, go watch it, come back, watch this, like it, subscribe it, and comment. I'm Chris Ross.
I'm Justin Drabness.
And welcome to I Am Geek. This is the X-Men Apocalypse spoiler review. Spoilers, just in case you haven't seen it yet. Click off this, go watch the movie, come back, click back on this, like it, and check us out. So, X-Men Apocalypse. It's the third installment in the new relaunched trilogy, and they've set some things up for the future, and had some good, had some bad. What's your take on it?
Oh, man. So, overall, I think the story was good and solid. There's just a bit too much just campy dialogue and some really corny scenes and some bad CGI that just took me out of the movie too often, and it didn't really do a lot for me.
Well, I was a kid of the 80s. I grew up a big X-Men fan. That was the first comic book I ever read. There was a lot of nods to the fans. And I really feel like the first hour and a half of the movie is a good story. You kind of pick up where you were. It's been 10 years since X-Men First Class, which I'm a little over. Like, I hope the next one's like 1993, and they're playing like Pearl Jam and stuff like that. I don't know, Nirvana. Like,
everyone's got the grunge look going on.
Yeah, like I don't like you really have to do every 10 years. And I will tell you, like, the Havoc thing bothered me because Havoc in 1963 is like a kid, and now it's 1983, and he should be like in his 40s.
Yeah,
and he looks like he's 25.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that really bothered me while I was watching the movie. But I felt like the Magneto stuff, the storyline, the interweaving stuff, I thought that was good. Fassbender's a great actor, so for what he did, for the material that he had, I think he did a really good job.
That was the part where that was one of the scenes that took me out of the movie because I was sitting there thinking, why do we have to have another one of Magneto's families just die horribly just to get him back in the movie? That kind of bothered me a little bit. I think you're right, though. With what he had to work with, I think he did a good job. But that scene bothered me throughout the whole movie. Like, that's what pushed him over the edge.
Brought him back.
Brought him back and made him one of the horsemen.
Like, if your daughter got killed, I mean, you'd probably be Magneto again.
Yeah, I just feel like there's a more creative way to bring him back into the story and to bring him to be one of the horsemen. I just thought it was kind of lazy to write like that, but
I agree somewhat. I think they could have done some things a little bit differently. But like I said, being an X-Men fan, I gave it a little bit of a pass. I think the Apocalypse intro was really good. I love the beginning of it and how you kind of see him moving over into.
It started great. At the starting, I was like, "Yeah, this is going to be good."
Yeah.
All right.
I didn't like how Apocalypse kind of awoke. Like, the sunlight hit, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, here's Apocalypse again. Like, because they moved the rug, like, for the first time in 5,000 years or something.
Yeah.
I was kind of like, that was a little stupid. The Quicksilver scene.
Best scene of the movie.
I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, Quicksilver was excellent in this movie. I was really happy with it.
Hey, did you know that that's Magneto's son?
I did know.
That's my dad. But no, I think this Quicksilver is so much better than the Quicksilver in Avengers.
Well, yeah, he's dead.
Well, but the way they do it, and I know I've heard some backlash, like they've already did that, so why do it again? To me, that was like one of the coolest scenes in the whole movie.
Yeah.
And I think it was so good in X-Men Days of Future Past that if they didn't do it, it would have been like, well, why didn't they do that scene again?
Mhm.
And then with Quicksilver kicking Apocalypse's ass.
Oh, yeah, that was awesome.
That was awesome because if they didn't do that, everybody would have been like, well, why didn't Quicksilver just start beating the crap out of Apocalypse?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think Quicksilver was one of the people that stole the movie for me.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. He did great.
What do you think of Psylocke?
Was she in it?
I saw her because she's hot.
Yeah,
Olivia Munn's hot.
I saw an
not as
angry-
hot as Princess Leia,
No,
but,
no.
you know.
I saw an angry Olivia Munn, and that was disappointing.
I sometimes
she just
wonder...
had an attitude the whole movie. Like, there was no real depth to
Yeah.
the character. It was just, I have a psychic sword.
Well, she has psychic powers in the comics. You really didn't see that either.
That's what I mean.
I'm hoping they've set it up to open it up a little bit more. I think her role and Archangel's role, which Archangel was, I mean, he's an original X-Men,
Mhm.
and, you know, he actually was one of the Four Horsemen, but, you know, I think they were just, like, there for muscle. You know, there wasn't really a lot of story.
Yeah, I know.
Where I think
That was their role.
Storm's story, you got to see a little bit more of her backstory in Africa and that sort of thing, like fleshed her character out a little bit more. And I feel like they set that up a little bit better for hopefully the next movies. But yeah, I think Olivia Munn, she's funny. I've seen her in interviews. I've seen her do. She's funny. She's a very attractive woman. I don't know if she's a great actress.
Yeah, I saw her. The first time I saw her act was in some NBC sitcom about couples, and I don't think she was funny at all.
But on the G4 network and the show she had, she was really funny.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, like, her as a person, she's naturally funny. I just don't know if
She
she's
just
a great
hasn't
actress.
gotten anything that's really suited for her.
Right. Well, she was in the Ride Along 2, and she was not good in that. So, with Ice Cube and
Oh,
Kevin Hart.
well, that's what I mean. She hasn't gotten anything that's really for
But that's
her.
a comedy, you would think.
Yeah.
Um,
Depends on the role they gave her.
yeah. Wolverine.
So I'm really glad that Wolverine was in it, but it was such a small amount of time. He did amazing work there in the...
Berserker scene.
Yeah, exactly. But it was so short compared to the rest of the movie. Like, I'm kind of disappointed they spoiled it with the trailer.
I wish they wouldn't have spoiled it.
Yep.
As an X-Men fan and a Hugh Jackman Wolverine fan, I wish they would have, if they would have not put that in the trailer, and then they're in, you know, there, and he comes out. I mean, the whole audience would have just been like, "Oh my God, that's so awesome!" But you kind of knew it was coming if you've seen that trailer. If you saw the third trailer, you knew it was coming. So you're like, "Oh, here comes Wolverine," and then I kind of was like a little disappointed he wasn't in the movie more.
Yeah, and I think that's on them, because if they hadn't put the teaser in the trailer that he was going to be in it, I'd been ecstatic that he was in it for the amount of time that he was.
Yeah.
But they kind of they shot their wad.
So, I mean, it was cool seeing him and the Weapon X mask and everything, and you could kind of see, like, the Jean Grey, you know, like, the connection they had, that they kind of planted those seeds. You know, I know that the next Wolverine movie is going to be Hugh Jackman's last. That's what he says. I don't know how they're going to go with the Wolverine storyline, with the new X-Men movies. I think they did a really good job, though, with the young, you know, with Cyclops and Jean Grey and Storm, and, well, Jubilee had all these scenes that were cut, but, you know, I was never a huge Jubilee fan. But an Archangel and, who's the blue guy?
Nightcrawler?
Nightcrawler. So, a Nightcrawler. But I think they did a really good job. They cast well.
Yeah.
I think the Jean Grey Cyclops dynamic was, honestly, I think it was better than it was in the early X-Men movies.
Yeah. And we got to see the Phoenix, like a good one.
Yeah, we got to see what the real Phoenix is like.
Yeah. Not Last Stand Phoenix.
No, that sucked.
And she died.
Yeah, it was stupid. Yeah, Last Stand is terrible.
You know what, though? I looked this up before we decided to film. Rotten Tomatoes gave Last Stand better ratings than Apocalypse.
Okay, but I don't go by Rotten Tomatoes.
No, I don't either.
I mean, it's a good thing to look at, but they gave Batman vs Superman 27%.
That's
not
a
that
little
bad.
unfair.
Yeah, it's not that bad. I mean,
No.
it's not an 80 or 90%, but I don't go by. I mean, Rotten Tomatoes is skewed a little bit on their grading system. It's either like it's a fresh or it's a rotten. Anyway.
Yeah. I just thought it was funny.
Yeah. The post-credit scene.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I had to look it up.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay. So, when I was a kid in 1988, I was 11 years old, and this was the first comics I ever bought. Okay? X-Men, the Inferno series. It was number 242 and 243, and if you see right here, that's Sinister. So when I saw Essex Corps on that briefcase, and I was like, Nathaniel Essex is going to be in the next movie. That is awesome, because this was the first real villain that I ever saw in a comic book, X-Men universe, to see Sinister, who was created by Apocalypse, and so I was kind of hoping that they would tease that, but this was I still have them. That's how much of a geek I am. But that was the first real in-depth story arc that I got into, and I went back and read earlier X-Men, and I read later X-Men, but I think Sinister is going to be a hopefully a much better villain, because he psychology or mentally he definitely goes after them a little bit more than Apocalypse does.
Yeah, I gotta say about Apocalypse, I think his makeup was really bad. You could see the separation of the silicon on his face and the.
Well, it wasn't like what he looks like in the comics.
Yeah.
And I understand cinematic universe, whatever, but yeah, I was disappointed.
Yeah, they just made him look weird. He was kind of boring and lumbering. You have this super powerful mutant, supposedly the most powerful mutant ever, and he kind of just lumbers around. And
in the comics, he's a little quippy. He's he has little lines and everything. I feel like he didn't do that at all in this. So
yeah, I don't know. They should have. I don't know if that would have made it better or worse, really, for me.
Well, when you have a great actor.
Yeah, they barely even tapped him. I mean, it's just, hey, just wander around and mumble some lines.
I mean, as good as he was in Star Wars as Poe, even in the limited amount of time that he was in there, he was one of my favorites in that movie.
Yep.
And I feel like they didn't use him right in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So. The only other thing I didn't really like about it that took me out of the story was the CGI. I feel like of the three that they've done, this one's the weakest CGI-wise. There's just too many scenes that look.
Magneto up there just juggling metal, buildings and stuff.
Yeah, the scene, and I understand enough about animation that it's challenging when you have all these different particles, but the scene where they're building the big pyramid, all the sand, it just, I don't know, it looked cartoony. Mm-hmm. And when they were rebuilding the mansion at the end, that was probably the worst scene. It didn't look like a board. It looked like a piece of plastic,
I didn't mind them rebuilding that, because it's every they said in Deadpool, every 5 years they rebuild the mansion. So it's oh, well, they're rebuilding the mansion. That's kind of funny to me.
Kind of like a nod to Deadpool.
Yeah. We're gonna rebuild this, and the Magneto's all right, I'm out. See you later.
Speaking of nods, did you catch that little joke or quip they made coming out of Return of the Jedi about how the third one always sucks?
Well, and Bryan Singer did not direct X3, so I think that was a nod to that. Hey, X3 sucked. And this one definitely wasn't as good as the first two.
Yeah, so it kind of ended up being a self-fulfilling prophecy for Springer, and he probably shouldn't have made the joke.
It was funny, though.
I laughed.
And Return of the Jedi, I still like it a lot.
Yeah, it's fine. She's here. I mean, she likes it.
That's the third one was good there. Not as good as 1 or 2, though.
Well, 2. Two's
the...
Yeah. But this is X-Men, not Star Wars.
Yeah.
Shut up, Leia.
I'm distracted. Okay, so what did you think? Did you like X-Men Apocalypse? Did you hate it? Did you think it was just meh? Let us know in the comments below. Hit us up on Twitter, Saucy_Rossi.
at Justin Dradness.
And if you like this and you want to see more, go back and watch some of our other videos, spoiler reviews, trailer reviews, all kinds of cool stuff. And I'm Chris Ross.
Justin Dradness.
And I am Geek.